Check it, check. Let me get a mic check. 1 2 1 2.
Hey world, this is Sonari Chidi. I'm a producer, a social advocate, and a future lawyer, and this is my era.
What about you?
What about you? Sorry, I'll do it.
This is My Era podcast. We spark the minds that set the trends that change the world as we know. And it starts right now. So let's go. This is My Era. Hosted by Kuda Biza. And yours truly, Mr. Alexander Starr. This is my era. Represents everybody who knows they want a better world and does something about it. This is our era. What about you?
One, two. Ha 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 ha. Cool. What's up, world? It's a lovely day today because if you're listening to this, it means you woke up, and that makes today beautiful by default. My name is Alexander Starr. I'm the co-founder of This Is My Era, the brand and the movement, and your host of This Is My Era, the podcast. My brother Kuda Biza is in Greece right now, so I'm holding it down today myself, and I'm happy to be here. So check it. And let me start by reintroducing myself because I believe it's relevant to introducing our guest today. When I meet people for the first time and they ask what I do, I tell them I'm an Emmy-nominated recording artist using music as a vehicle for positive change. I write and record music with a purpose to make people do good, feel good, think good, scratch their heads, and smile a little bit more. And today we have with us a young brother who's using film, television, and media to do the same thing and inspire social change. He's a United Nations and MCN Fellow. He's a Robert A. Fox Research and Service Fellow. He's a Sol Feinstein Ivy Day Award winner, and he's at the University of Pennsylvania, my home state. I was raised in Tennessee, so Tennessee's kind of like my home state, but I was born in Pennsylvania, so that's where I came into this world. His areas of interest include the impact of forced migration and media representation on identity and self-determination. That's huge. Ladies and gentlemen, clap it up for Sonari Chidi.
Oh my, thank you so much.
AKA C20. C20, what up?
Thank you so much, Alexander. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thank you for being here. So C20, where's that come from?
So that's just my graduation date. I'm 2020 at Penn. So May 2020, I'm gonna be graduating from college.
All right, C20. So you just made that your nickname.
I mean, it's like at Penn, everyone puts there are four schools at Penn. There's engineering, there's Wharton, there's nursing, and then there's the College of Arts and Sciences. And so people usually like identify themselves as whatever thing and then their year. So I think it's just like a habit.
Got it.
There, yeah.
It's cultural, but it's smooth. It fits you. C20. I like that. All right.
Thank you.
So you're an artist, a producer, a director, an actor, but you're so much more. Tell us and tell the people what you're about.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's very generous of you, but yes, I'm very interested in using film and using television and using media, including new media, to approach different stories that inspire social change, that inspire people to think differently about issues, that provide different perspectives and put a human face to a lot of the issues that are talked about in terms of numbers on TV or in the news. I'm really committed to refugee, asylum seeker, and immigrant advocacy in particular. And that's something that I've really done a lot of work in so far in my career at Penn. I started an organization, I co-founded an organization called Penn FilmAid, which uses film as a tool for social change, specifically advocating for refugees and immigrants. I recently completed a documentary short film about media representation of refugees that was filmed in part on kind of 3 continents, including at the Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya, where I got to work alongside refugee filmmakers, and I talked to them about their experiences and their perspectives. I've also been, as you mentioned, a producer, and I produce different content, including new media content. I produced a show about an African immigrant family in America and their experience that went viral, called African Time, with one of the writers of Blackish. At a certain point, I realized it was kind of all around forced migration, around immigration, around refugees, around asylum seekers, and then I kind of purposefully got into that when I got to travel to Kenya to the refugee camp, and then started Penn FilmAid after that.
Okay, all right. So there was so much, there was so much in that. You talk about, oh, you're being generous. No, I'm not. I'm just spitting facts, like what I'm reading about you. All right, so let's start one thing at a time. You're the co-founder and president of Penn FilmAid.
Yeah.
Um, Tell us about Penn FilmAid, why you started it, and some of the experiences that you've had as a student that's starting movements at a college.
hmm Yeah. Um, so basically, as I mentioned, I traveled to the Kakuma refugee camp in July of 2017 with, I think it was 8 Penn students, and a professor had a course called Penn in Kenya, where we worked alongside refugee filmmakers to make videos about the essential services in the camp. So I worked on the health and education video, and there were 2 Penn students to a team, and then we were working with about 4 refugee filmmakers, and we worked together to make the videos. And so while I was there, it was my first experience going to a refugee camp, and of course, one in an international setting. And so when I went into that experience, I had thought that anti-refugee rhetoric, xenophobic rhetoric, was really kind of a specifically European thing, or a Western thing in the US and in Europe. But I learned that there's actually a lot of anti-refugee rhetoric in countries that are hosting large amounts of refugees, including Kenya. So it was an eye-opening experience. And what was also really eye-opening was kind of the huge gap between the rhetoric around refugees as kind of criminals, or people taking things, or people who are helpless even.
So even in African nations where other Africans from other countries are seeking
Yeah,
asylum, there is a stigma on refugees,
definitely,
even on people
definitely.
who, presumably would understand kind of what's happening.
Yeah, and I mean, I think when you think about it, it's a lot of times it's understandable that that rhetoric is there, only because it's been politicized. It's not necessarily because people aren't generous or something like that, but it's been used as a political tool, just like it's been used in Europe, just like it's been used in the US. And so those same political conditions are there to foment anti-refugee sentiment. And so the politicians often, when they're trying to drum up votes, say, oh, we need to kick all the refugees out, or something like that. So all of that to say, it really expanded my understanding of how worldwide and global the crisis is. Of course, I knew that the crisis was global, but to see the fact that there was this gap even in Kenya, where I hadn't expected it to be, really made it an imperative for me to try to do something for the friends that I had made, for the people that I had met. And so when we came back to Penn, we were really interested in starting a group that would be able to provide stories, provide nuance to what a refugee is, what refugees are doing, and to use film as a tool and as a medium that's really accessible to a lot of people. It's not like a didactic report or an academic paper. It's something that people are often more kind of willing to, sit down and watch, or just see on YouTube or something like that. We wanted to use film as an accessible way to communicate this message to people, that they're nuanced, multifaceted individuals, and you might not know the whole story at the moment. And so what we do with Penn FilmAid is we make videos about refugees, with refugees, but we also make videos for NGOs. So there's some NGOs who need video services to kind of communicate their message, to tell people what they do, to let refugees in Philadelphia know what their essential services are that they can get. because one of the biggest things when you resettle a refugee is figuring out how to get what you need now in this completely new, unfamiliar place. You're
Wow.
from a totally different country. You might not even speak the language very well. And so what you really need is a support system. And so what we do with NGOs is we are helping them to be able to communicate their messages and their services so that what they actually already offer is going to reach the people that they need. And that's so important. So we've been really blessed to be able to partner with some NGOs in doing that. We also have a film festival submission committee. So the filmmakers in Kakuma and Calabaye in Kenya who've already made films, we're helping them submit them to festivals. And then we also have media and kind of events team. And we put on an event with Loang Ung. She's a former child soldier, a Cambodian genocide survivor, a best-selling author, a Golden Globe nominee. And so we put on actually 3 events over 2 days with her to kind of bridge the gap between the Penn community and the Philadelphia community, because that's something that I thought was really, really important. That not only are we talking about, Penn students and raising awareness on campus, but also bridging the gap between campus and the wider community and the wider world, and making sure that everyone can come together to talk about solutions to move forward. Yeah.
What's so inspiring about this is that you're so young, right? You're in college and you have such a mature mindset. And the beauty of being young, and I say this as a young person myself, is that we have so much potential to do things and to make waves. Like, we do things and we make waves. But what makes a young person extra special is when they're about something. And you have a special gift of helping people who are different, in this case, refugees, and people who've never really experienced or understood or empathized with what that's like. You help these people understand what they have in common. So when did you discover this gift in yourself and the idea that you have a voice that can speak up for other people? Were you a kid when you started feeling this way, or was it something like your trip to Kenya that inspired this, or did this always exist in you?
That's actually a really good question. What I think I think there's so many different experiences in my life that have kind of led to my interest in advocacy, in telling stories that might not have been told or might have been told in a different manner. But as I was or I guess I am a SAG-AFTRA actor, so I was a young actor growing up in California. I did a number of commercials and TV shows and some films. And so as an actor, you have to bring to life a story, and you have to be able to empathize with your character, and you have to kind of do all of the emotional work to connect the dots.
Wait, real quick, let's touch on bases of that. As a SAG-AFTRA actor, you appeared in some shows that we may know. Could you name a few for us, please, sir?
Yeah. I did some guest star and co-star spots on TV shows, including Modern Family, The Mindy Project, a lot of Nickelodeon shows like Nicky, Ricky, Dicky, and Don, The Thundermans, things like that. Yeah.
The Thundermans. Okay, dope.
Bella and the Bulldogs. There are a lot of Nickelodeon.
Okay. All right, cool. I know my son will know that one definitely.
He might actually.
Yeah, for sure. That's fly. All right. Sorry to cut you off. Continue, please.
No, you're good.
So you have to you have to portray a character and a feeling and get these things across. I think that's it.
Yeah, and so it was really exciting to be able to bring stories to life. But what I realized is I felt that there were some stories that weren't being told and stories that I really wanted to tell. And the best way to do that, I saw, was to go on the other side of the camera, to become a producer or a screenwriter or a director. And so that's what really kind of led me to going to the other side, was understanding how I really loved bringing stories to life, being able to tell these stories as an actor. But I wanted to be able to tell different stories and tell them in different ways. And so that's what led me to producing, and that's what led me to screenwriting. And then understanding that my mission, what kind of makes me come alive, is working for social change, is working for social impact, is kind of putting new ideas out there that people might not have thought of, or presenting them in different ways. And so that kind of naturally led me to social impact filmmaking, because that's, what I love to do. And then it naturally led to like saying, well, let's form a community of people who are interested in doing this, and let's create an organization where we can do this on a broader level and not just do filmmaking, but do workshops for refugees and help them submit them to festivals and do events where people are, where we're raising awareness for people. So
that's
I
a
think it was kind
major
of all
that's a
natural.
major key right there. Once you figure out what you love, surround yourself with a community and a network of people who are about the same thing or
Yeah,
are parallel with you, and your movement strength just increases so much.
yeah, that's really true.
So I'm going to quote you from an interview you did with UPenn's Omnia publication. You said, "Injustice gives me fire in the belly. Connecting with
Mhm.
people gives me fire in the belly." Uh,
Mhm.
Tell us about some of these fires.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's so many fires nowadays, but I've always been so inspired by mavericks in the movement for rights, for justice in so many different cases, whether it's the classical civil rights movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, the immigration and asylum seeker and refugee justice movement. And I feel like there's so many different things that are happening right now that can almost be overwhelming. The U.S. withdrew from um, so many different accords, including the Human Rights Accord, and it's one of very few countries to do so. Refugee numbers are extremely high, and something that's kind of dropped precipitously is resettlement. So resettlement is one of the three durable solutions to to the refugee crisis,
Hmm.
and less than 1% of the world's refugees are typically resettled, but the number of refugees has dropped. I think the UNHCR said like by over 50% since or between 2016 and 2017, and um, the U.S. used to be a significant receiver of of resettled refugees. However, with the new administration, they cut down the amount of refugees that they're receiving, um, and so it's been very disconcerting. And I feel like
Hmm.
everyone has been able to hear news recently about the asylum seeker crisis at our border, with people dying in custody, young children dying in custody,
Yeah.
and all kinds of things. So there are a lot of fires going on. I feel like our government, our policies, kind of are moral communicados with us.
Hmm.
So when we withdraw from the Human Rights Commission, that sends, I think, a moral message to all of us as Americans. And also, people have often
Yikes.
considered the U.S. to be the global leader on kind of what peace, on on morality, on all of these
Morality, eh?
things,
The U.S.
on
of
all
morality. Okay.
on all of these things. It's and so it's kind of it's disconcerting. But in addition to that, we're seeing so many different things happening, with people being killed, for all kinds of things in terms of anti-refugee, anti-immigrant sentiment. It's a very scary time, but I think the thing that keeps me going is seeing that not only is there, work to be done, but there's an amazing community of people doing it, um, and also, people are receptive, I think, as well, is something that's really inspired me. So I made Shattering Refuge, a documentary film about media representation of refugees. And um,
Yeah,
some of the
can
people
you
I
go into
showed,
that, because that's an award-winning documentary, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
tell us, go in on that a little bit more. Talk about Shattering Refuge, like
Yeah.
for all those who have not seen it.
So Shattering Refuge is a short documentary film about media representation of refugees. and depictions of refugees. And it's about also how we envision the path forward when the idea of refuge has been shattered. And it was filmed in Kakuma, at the Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya and the Kalbai refugee settlement. It was filmed in Philadelphia, and it has some footage from my trip to Amman, Jordan, where I kind of did a group visit of the different refugee facilities and providers and advocates there. And so essentially what it is, it's telling the story of media representation as we see it, and then the stories of the depictions of refugees. And then the refugees themselves get to have a voice in telling us what they think, who they are, and what they see needs to be done. So I interviewed several refugees and asylum seekers for the piece. And what was really important to me was that they be able to have their voice heard, because often when we look at the news or on TV or like radio or even articles, very frequently it's talking about refugees or talking at refugees or giving numbers on refugees, but we don't frequently hear refugee voices foregrounded or at the front telling us about their lives and about what they're seeing and about what they think should be done. And so what I thought would be great would be to be able to interview them and foreground their voices in the movie. So that's essentially what Shattering Refuge is. It's really the refugees' voices at the front telling us what they're seeing through the interviews, showing us what the path forward can be. And I also interview journalists because I really wanted to get a good perspective and understanding of the method in crafting and creating the news representations that we're seeing. And so I interviewed some journalists who don't identify as refugees or immigrants, and I interviewed some journalists who do identify as refugees, who are asylum seekers, who are immigrants, to get both sides of that. So it was really a great process. And I mean, I'm really excited that, it won an award at the Rough Cut Film Festival, the Social Justice Award. But what I'm more excited for is that when I've shown it to people or when people have watched it, often I'm able to hear them say, wow, I had heard about this on the news. I had seen some articles, about the refugee crisis, about asylum seekers, but I hadn't really paid attention. And when I watched this movie, like, now I want to do something about it. And so for me, that's the most amazing thing. That's the goal of the film.
You're sparking action.
Exactly.
You taking action has catalyzed action in other people.
Exactly. Is to raise awareness, but beyond that, to impact people to feel compelled to take action. So that's been really exciting.
That's incredible, man. And that's what happens when you're making it your era. So while we're talking about Shattering Refuge, where can people see it?
So it's going to film festivals. We will hopefully have film festivals across the U.S. and even across the world. But yeah, it's going to be at film festivals, and then afterwards, we'll see about further distribution.
Okay, so it's not out right now. So if we wanted to go look it up, you can't see it.
It's not online right now, no.
So what we'll need from you is a follow-up so that we can include in one of our later episodes that your documentary is now out for public viewing.
Yeah, if that happens, I would be happy to include that. That would be really exciting, because that's the exciting part of a documentary, is getting people to see it. So
yeah, I would hope so. And I mean, it sounds like people need to see it, and especially for the issue that you're addressing, you want people to see it so that you can encourage people to take action.
That's the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So in 30 seconds or less, I mean, you've already summed up so much of what you're doing and what you're about. 30 seconds or less, tell us why this is your era.
That's a good question. This is my era because my commitment to refugee advocacy through film, through media, through legal reform is being paired with collaborations with amazing individuals and groups and communities across the world.
Big things, big things.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs to look out for C20. He's about to be doing some incredible work that all of y'all are gonna see. Um, hold on. Look, my son's in the room. Hey Zion, you ever heard of this TV show called The Thundermans? The one on it's Nickelodeon, right?
Yeah, the Thundermans is on Nickelodeon.
The Thundermans on Nickelodeon. Okay, he's fronting. He's trying to be shy right now. All right, go on, get out of here, boy. I love you. Close the door, please. LOL. He knows the show. I think he's just like, oh no, he's recording, he's interviewing. He knows when I'm doing the podcast, he knows he needs to keep quiet. So I think
Aw,
he's afraid to.
that's so cute.
Oh, now he knows it. You do know the Thundermans. It's a real life superhero thing. Did that sound about accurate, C20?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, I'm talking to somebody who was on that show. I don't think he doesn't care. He doesn't get it. He's like,
He's,
whatever.
he's not interested in that. He just wants to talk to his dad. That's all.
Right, right. Okay. Anyways, I digressed. I was trying to make him excited, but I don't think he cares about like the production side of things. He just cares about watching
No,
the show.
no.
Anyways, all right, cool. So we know this is your era. So here's what I need from you. I need you to channel your inner recording artist. You think you can do that?
Yep.
Okay, so I need you to do what we call a drop. You know what a drop is?
Yes.
Okay, I need you to go like something to the tune of this. Um, What's up, world? This is Sonari Chidi, aka C20, and then list like your accolades, like how you want to be. Want to be known as. Yo, I'm an award-winning producer and actor and social activist. Via film and da 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 da. And this is my era. What about you?
Okay. Okay, awesome. Hey world, this is Sonari Chidi. I'm a producer, a social advocate, and a future lawyer, and this is my era.
What about you?
What about you? Sorry, I'll do it.
Hey,
Oh
that
my
was dope
gosh,
though, man. I
I
love it.
totally forgot about that. Okay.
No, it was good. It
And
was
this is my
good.
era.
That's
What about
perfect.
you?
We gonna keep it just like that.
What? No.
Yeah. No, that was fly, man. It was organic. I love it. Yo, so C20, where can people connect with you and like, you want to drop your socials or whatever, and then
Yeah.
how can our listeners help you with what you're doing?
Perfect. Yes. So my Twitter is at Sonari Joe. So Sonari and then Jo. Just my name. That's typically the best way to get in touch with me. I also have LinkedIn, but I don't really use it at all. So Twitter is the best way to reach me. And then in terms of helping, there are multiple ways. So one way is following Penn FilmAid. So we have our own socials. We have Penn FilmAid on, and it's just the name Penn FilmAid, PENN FilmAid, at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and just keeping up to date on what we're doing. We have some fundraising efforts that we're going to be launching in the spring. And then we're also really interested in working with people who are doing things in our area, whether that's refugee advocacy or media for social impact or just media in any way. So if you're interested in any of those things and want to connect with us, please let us know. And then kind of personally, for Shattering Refuge, I will be posting updates on where it's going to be showing. So if you're in the area and you want to show some support, that would be amazing. So follow me on Twitter and you'll be able to get those updates. And yeah, just if you have someone you know who's interested in kind of learning more about refugee advocacy or film as a tool for social advocacy, please definitely check me out. And yeah, I'm happy to work with. I feel like one of the most important things about impact on a wide level is collaborations and working with people, because I think the biggest problems facing us, including the refugee crisis, have to be collaborative, like require collaborative solutions and multidisciplinary solutions. So yeah, I'm always interested in collaborations and working together. So
All right.
if someone's interested in that, yeah.
Well, I've taken action. I just followed you on Instagram and I followed Penn FilmAid
Oh my gosh,
on
I just
Instagram
saw that.
and on Twitter. And yeah, dude, everybody who's listening to this episode, yo, follow, support, shoot him a message. He wants to hear from y'all. And yo, follow us too at This Is My Era Official. Follow me at Mr. Alexander Star. And yo, let's build a community, just like C20 was talking about. When you're like-minded with other people, you build a community, and y'all team up, y'all form a gang. We're like, we're like Spread Love Gang. Shout out to my boy Bottles Belafonte, by the way. Spread love. And yeah, so this is what we do, man. Good vibes all day. Sonari, thank you so much, man. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for this chat. Thank you for sharing what you're about. And thank you for everything that you do, brother. The world needs you.
Thank you so much, Alexander, and thank you for this podcast and this platform. I was listening to the podcast, and I'm just like, this is so inspiring. I'm learning so much from the different guests. So this is amazing. Thank you for your work and all that you do.
And it starts right now. That means a lot. This is my era. Well, let's go. This is my era. Oh yeah. This is my era. This is my era. Come on. Come on. This is my era. This is my era. What about you? Everybody runs the race. Some have what it takes, and others don't make it through. What about you? Stand up when they call your name. Stand out when you do your job. Let greatness notice you. If you're just wishing for glory, then what are you asking? Victory ain't sweet if you don't live through the pain. So many great ones before me found glory everlasting. That's what I came to do, came to be. Cause see, this is my era. Oh yeah. This is my era. This is my era. Come on. This is my era. This is my era. Come on. This is my era. What about you?
This is my era, this is my era. The mission and the vision never been so clearer. Seems like the world ain't getting no better. If you wanna see a change, take a look in the mirror now. You possess the key to unlock it. Open up the door, opportunities knocking. You can't deny. On this road that we're walking, there's gonna be some obstacles, but we'll keep on marching. Some will doubt you, even talk about you, but this world wouldn't be the same without you. Golden people on the rise, we know our value. Reaching the impossible, we'll show you how to. Don't know about you, but I know about me. I was born with everything I need to succeed. Living out the dreams, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to be. Cause see,
this is my era. 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 What about you? The world is counting on me, yeah, yeah. To be that change that we all wanna see, yeah, yeah. Yeah, whoa, whoa, oh. And as long as I'm living and breathing, I reach for the sky, giving living a meaning. That's what I was put on earth to do.